planned obsolescence that is progressive and useful, and planned obsolescence that's bad. Let's do the bad first, and then I'm going to explain away the good one. Bad one. Razors and blades. You want to make sure they wear out in a particular time so you can have repeat sales, so you can make money. If you make a blade that doesn't ever wear out, which is technically possible, but it's prohibitively expensive, at least that's what we've been told. Actually, it is expensive. If you make these things to where they wear out before they time, you make more money. But here's the plus side of it. Back in the 40s, actually 20th century, previous century, we're in the millennium. Products were made and redesigned very rapidly. The V8 engine went through so many iterations that it's a bizarre arrangement of every technology mixed together in any vehicle you find with a V6 or even V4. They can go from efficiency mode to dump fuel and blast down the road mode. High performance and high efficiency in a lightweight engine. In Europe, you're allowed to buy engines that have insanely high compression ratios so that you can make them really tiny. So they weigh nothing, almost nothing. But equipment still wears out. But by definition and by law, in many areas, they have to last at least 5 years, because otherwise you're considered to have put out a substandard product. American Standard, ASE, and other standards were created to make it to where things had to work a certain minimum period of time. Tools and other durable goods had to last at least 5 years of normal usage by a person in that area. A professional grade set of equipment had to be better than what a consumer would get, because consumers don't need to use a ratchet literally all damn day long taking apart cars and rebuilding them. But your average, tinkerer needs a wrench that works for a while. Now, having these variations in it usually meant you could cut corners and save some costs. Other times you ended up making the tinkerer version just as good as the really good one. Point in fact, however, this has another effect. The unintended consequence of a consumer society that throws things away is that you end up creating landfills that will eventually be strip mined for all that valuable material that at one time was considered low grade, or some of the high grade stuff that was high quality being mined because it's biologically cleaned by bacteria in the ground that went through and fermented and ate everything off of it. Even the rust, the red-brown rust in the dirt is going to be valuable. We're going to end up mining that. Why? Because it's excruciatingly easy to mine a landfill and sift through it to find metals, first of all. Plastics will be recyclable to the point we need to recycle them, because getting the material out of oil won't be practical someday. And honestly, it's less practical now than digging up the plastics and recycling them for a few of them. Aluminum can recycling it's so much easier than mining and then refining bauxite or whatever it is. You end up getting, I don't think it, excuse me, it isn't bauxite. I don't remember. I forgot the material. Anyway, whatever it is we refine to make aluminum isn't as good as just digging up aluminum. So what you end up with is you start off with a durable goods, everybody makes things different, then you get interchangeable parts to standardize things, or at least using some standards like measurements, to a consumer society based on making everything upgrade all the time, to just making cheap items you throw away. And then that builds up a very good supply of landfill material that will biodegrade anything that will biodegrade. And everything that doesn't biodegrade will be valuable. And then you get to the next Kirchhoff scale, or we're going to call it the WAPTEC scale for the hell of it, of us needing to recycle things, because it is just easier to recycle plastics than go drill a hole in the ground and try to get oil out of it from some country that wants you to believe, very much so, that they're run by a bunch of ideologues that will kill you with a bomb. I'm sorry, but it is not valuable buying oil from countries that don't overtly prohibit the ideology that permits violent jihad. Yes, that's going to make me sound like a racist. I'm not. Oil-rich countries that don't prohibit and deliberately fight terrorism are endorsing it. We shouldn't buy oil from them. Not an embargo. We should just simply stop using their oil products for anything. Any company that provides you plastic that gets it from them, ban it. Tell them, no, you can't take oil from them. Starve them for money until they're desperate. Or they go ahead and get rid of the clerics that start this. No, you must do so. Now, why am I saying that? That would be the biggest motivation for us to recycle plastics. Because most plastics come from, essentially, us using oil products to make them. It's the easiest and fastest method. But if we recycle them, we literally don't need to take in oil for around, I think it's 25% or more of the oil imports. All right, now let's go back to our recycler society versus throwaway society. I've already explained it pretty well. I mean, this bottle gets recycled. It's got a 10-cent thingy on it, so I will want to recycle it. It's made to deliberately fail after a while because the seal in this lid will stop working after a period of time, about the time when the thing becomes dangerous, because it will start harboring bacteria in large enough quantities that it becomes dangerous to refill it with water. Water containers don't have a shelf life limitation on them, but by putting a timing on it, we make sure that we check them. If they leak, we get rid of them. The computer I'm using has a limitation on it too. Now we're going to get to the 6-minute mark, to the negative side of this. This is the old method. The computer I'm using was made in 2009 or so. It's literally 10 years old now. That's the first date of any of the files on it. So all the files, software, and the hardware, and the firmware, and the BIOS I've reflashed 2009. Why did I reflash it? If I futz with the volume control at the bottom of it, the mechanical volume control that you assume is analog, it makes crunching noises. It's not an analog volume control. It's not. It's an encoder that tells the computer I'm moving it a click to the right or the click to the left digitally. It is physically impossible for it to be able to create crunching audio noises. And no, the audio chip doesn't have the ability to make noises that are imitating perfectly to the point that the wave shapes match up exactly a crunching noise of the audio from a volume control. The fact that there's a wavetable buried in the damn chip to fake having a bad volume control, I call shenanigans. Obviously, it doesn't have a volume control like that. Also, if I grab the volume control on the right and move it up and down, it makes the very antique-y same sound. A lot of people notice that, and I'm using an unbranded laptop. I'm not telling you what brand or make or model it is. It's a 2009 model, and even flashing the BIOS won't clean this up. Now, why would somebody go out of their way to make an audio system produce not only that, but also change the balance randomly? Again, that can't happen. There's only 2 contacts in here, so it just detects that I'm moving it left or right. It can't create audio changes from right to left. This is done through software by telling the audio chip to multiply the numbers, it's digital data, by a certain value to create audio changes. It can't make that noise, so it has to fake it. Poorly, using a wavetable. Not even really trying to hide that it's faking it. The precise opposite of digital. Second thing I'm going to bring up real quick. Did you notice a long time ago that you could actually copy audio files without any noise introduced? Digital Millennium Copyright Act and copy protection, DRM, digital rights management. The operating system is instructed that if audio is copied at any time, it must inject random noise that sounds convincing. I'm directly quoting the white paper from the MPAA saying that even though digital copies are literal verbatim copies, and you can obviously use a piece of software to make it to where they can't make that noise. All software that doesn't want to be sued into the ground by our lawyers must inject noise. This was an attempt by many companies to make consumer-grade software create a fake multi-generational noise injection. It introduces very convincing, fast-forward analysis perfect hiss, crunching noises, pops and clicks, wasting your computer system's bandwidth with this shenanigans just to make sure you have a lower quality audio recording. And of course, everybody running a Linux laptop or desktop runs software that doesn't do this. And every other company said, go ahead and sue us. You're telling us to sabotage someone's work because what if it's their original work? Remember, it didn't say you had to deliberately screw up audio recordings only done from George Michael songs. It said every audio file must have noise injected, which is an overarching no-no. This was thrown out and kicked in the balls really hard a long time ago. Or was it? Can you make a verbatim copy that binary will check out as being a binary copy? If you copy a file, it's an audio file. It's obviously an audio file. A WAV file, MP3 file used to be the biggest one. Copy it over. Does it take a really long time to copy it, even though it's just a copy of the file, because it's sitting there deliberately injecting noise? Or does it just copy it? Well, there's generational copy errors when you binary copy a file to where it's perfect. Obviously, that didn't fly. Everybody called shenanigans and said, that's not the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Well, yes, it is. We can do that. No, you can't. And hundreds of very high-end companies found out that geeks like me would write simple hashes that fix this. Like, well, the injector noise routine is a subroutine. Okay, tell it to inject the noise of 0. The value is 0. It doesn't inject noise. Didn't alter the file. That took a couple of seconds. Everybody started doing this. You're not allowed to usurp our authority to, well, you're doing it to my audio recording of me talking. The video camera I'm using here, the Potato Cam, injects a 1/2 second to 1 second audio delay when I'm recording myself. Why? Because it's a shit camera. No. The microphone is part of the camera. It can't do that. But the encoder can. The encoder is a Microsoft approved one that's really, really high performance. But it does that one little annoying thing 2 years after you install it. Yes, I could remove all the registry entries, reinstall it, and the problem magically disappears. Can't do that with the hardware for the audio for the volume control. The chip for it probably contains a timer. It's designed to make you angry so you break the computer so you have to replace it. The way the computer I'm using is designed, this was deliberate because someone found out about it. They made it to where the mounts for the keyboard push it up just 1 extra bit so it touches the screen right on the plastic sheet, so that it gouges the screen and slowly damages it. You only notice it after it's been doing it for about 1.5 years. Apple did that as well. Apple now sues you for repairing laptops if you make a living doing it by claiming fraudulently in court that you're using pirated items, even though they're directly from them. We don't care that we made it and it has our brand name on it. You're not an approved user, so we're going to declare our own product we put out to be counterfeit. Even the courts roll their eyes and say, that's not really how the court works. Come on. That's like someone selling you an entire car, but because you parted it out to fix 4 other cars, now those are pirated parts. No, it's not. It's that you don't want 4 cars to work, you wanted to sell 1 car. I buy 1 car, make 4s work, I get paid an extra amount, I buy a new car from you. You're only allowed to sell me that 1 car, not them 4 cars. Yes, I screwed you over. Deal with it, it's America. In a recycler society, I would be recasting die-cast parts that were used to make toy cars like Matchbox cars. That's our patent and blah blah blah, I don't care. I take the toy car, put it in a seated container, remelt it in its own mold, and then push in more aluminum to fill in the brakes because it got damaged. It doesn't matter that I push in 1 milligram or a ½ pound of aluminum through 3 others that I'm rebuilding. I pop it apart. It's essentially the same thing. Are you going to claim that it's not the same aluminum? How do you prove that? Aluminum atoms don't have copyright control on them. Yeah, I can remake them. Instead of welding it, I just reflow it. Same thing with solder. You can literally put a filler in there and then blast it through and fill it in and it'll be perfect. The point I'm making here is there's a deliberate attempt to get you to throw things away psychologically. Most importantly, telling you, you're not a good person unless you buy the latest fashion or whatever. I buy all black clothing when I can because it doesn't show all the dirt and coffee stains. Someone's going to make a joke. Just do the Illuminati Satan worshiper, which doesn't make sense. Comment below. Just get creative. But, you know, I wear these clothes because I don't care if they're used or new. Someday you'll be forbidden from buying 501 jeans unless you rip off the tag. I always rip off the tag. I don't care what brand it is. Do you care what brand your laptop is? Mine's an unbranded laptop. I've nosed it like an old car where you take off all the chrome and all the tags and copyright statements, I call them. We're going into a recycler society where reusing and recycling things will be the dominant method for doing everything. That's the way it was a couple of 100 years ago, too. Full circle. But now we'll be doing it for making computers work, just like I did for a living for a while. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.